Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paizo Live, our monthly fireside chat show where we bring on our wonderful creatives and tell you what's been going on in the world of Paizo. I'm John Morgantini, the community and social media manager.
And I'm Maryssa Marie. I'm Paizo's web content manager. Today we'll be talking to Jenny Jarzabski about Mechageddon, hearing from John Compton about the new adventure pass Wardens of Wildwood, and checking in with Alex about upcoming conventions and events.
And don't forget, we are collecting questions from chat in for our Q&A section at the end. So put your questions in chat and we'll see if they get answered at the end.
All right, it's ready for our first section, our first action, Mechageddon. So I think we'll just start off, you, me, Jenny, and some questions. We're just gonna go right on into it, and what everybody wants to know is what would your ideal mech to pilot look like, and what abilities would it have?
You know, I'm probably not going to surprise anyone here when I say that my ideal mech would absolutely be piloted by singing or some other type of performance. It would have lots of sparkles. It would have like full fashion transformations that would also just seamlessly integrate into its weapons, like, I don't know, a skirt that just shoots missiles that would also glitter and
Just
yeah.
full magical girl mech.
It would be full magical girl mech. Absolutely. Yes.
Alrighty. And then just if anybody here is very familiar with mechs and mechs in general, you know that what comes alongside mechs and you can't have it without are kaiju. But not everybody might know what a kaiju is. So what are some really good touch notes for people who don't have much experience with like mechs or kaijus? Something they can do to get prepared for Mechageddon.
Yeah, so okay, so first of all, if you're just curious, so people who are like, "Oh, Mechageddon sounds cool, but like I don't know, what the mecha genre is like." There are many anime and many movies. Like if you're interested in just kaiju, which of course are just like, big monsters that tend to destroy cities and sometimes also protect and befriend humanity, sometimes both because people and kaiju are complicated things. Um Obviously, like Godzilla, any Godzilla movie is going to get you there in terms of kaiju. Pacific Rim is a big inspiration for Mechageddon as well, and it certainly has both mechs and kaiju. If mecha is just your thing, then I mean, I'm sure everyone has heard of Gundam, but Gundam is a wonderful place to start. There are like 10 billion Gundam series. Macross is my personal favorite of the mecha anime, but that is also another good one, especially if you think that what I said about magical girl mechs sounds cool. I would highly recommend that one, Macross Delta or Macross Frontier for those. And yeah, so kaiju are, like I said, just like big monsters that are basically forces of nature. And in Mechageddon, we certainly have them, but they are on our planet Daimalco, and everyone on Daimalco calls them colossi. So while we all know that this is like the kaiju trope, this is the same concept in Starfinder that they are colossi. So if you want to know more about the Starfinder version of these things, I would highly recommend that you grab Starfinder Near Space and take a look at the Dimalco chapter. It's only a few pages, a few really awesome pages that were written way back in the day by Amanda Hammond-Kuntz, who is an amazing creative. No longer with us at Paizo, but still someone who just had great contributions to our lore over time. And you can learn all about Dimalco, all about Colossi, all about the people who hop into mechs and fight them.
Marvelous. I did drop Starfinder Near Space in the chat for if anybody is curious about it. And you and I are both lovely, adorable people who love showing our faces, but I do think it's time to give them a view of the cover art.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Let's take a look.
Let's. Ugh, look at that. Look, giant swords, giant monsters, giant wings. Is there anything else you want to like talk about for us with the Mechageddon? We have a few more pieces of art we're willing to spoil for some people.
Yes. And also, I am so sorry. Amanda Hammond is that is her name. I'm so sorry. I gave an old name. So Amanda Hammond is the person that I should be crediting with Dimalco and one of the big inspirations for this project. So yeah, if you look at this, you can see like just the pure mecha versus monster, just amazingness here. Like you can see the Pacific Rim inspiration, like, and let me tell you, the mechs that you're going to be able to make in this book using Tech Revolution, which is another good one if you want to check out a Starfinder book all about mechs and how they work in our setting. There's also going to be some new rules and brand new mechs that are already pre-built with really cool art in this book. Those are just a little sampler. That is like hardly scratching the surface of what we have inside this book.
Ooh, I do think we have some mech art that we're willing to share with everybody. Do we
We
want to
do.
pop over to the Kestra?
Yeah. Yeah, so here is one of the mechs. The mechs that we're introducing in this book have very different looks. So one of the ones on the cover, that is kind of a very traditional Dimalcan style, often called like a Valcor. And there's a few others that are kind of a similar style there. This is something brand new that's actually one of the newer generations of Dimalcan mechs. And your player characters in Mechageddon are going to be some of the first people to test this mech. Yeah, it does kind of have that look, doesn't it, Ravia? And I'm kind of looking at chat. It does. And you see kind of like the bird themed, but there's a fun little secret about this mech in particular as we, I think, pop over to the next art piece.
Could say, well, while you're popping over to the next art piece of the starship, all I'm hearing is player characters and test piloting mechs. Nothing can go wrong there at all.
Oh no, nothing will go wrong. So yeah, so if as you notice, there's kind of a similar aesthetic here. So this is a little starship. This is also another option of something that your player characters will get to test drive in Mechageddon. And yeah, I think they're figuring it out in chat. The big secret spoiler for today is that Kestra mech turns into that starship. That's right. There will be some support for transforming mechs so that your mech can just be like, you know what? I'm just going to turn into a starship this round. I'm just going to full like transform, like Macross Transformers. I'm going to be like a whole other vehicle and you can just go seamlessly on into starship combat where it's appropriate. So that's going to be an option.
Marvelous. So yes, we do have Starfinders in disguise. Who don't yell at me. All I'm doing is quoting the chat. All right. Do we have any final questions, comments, concerns, or extra spoilers I can wheedle out of you before we release them to talk about Wardens of Wildwood?
There's so much I could say about Mechageddon. I'm trying not to spoil too much. That's why I just gave you like a tiny bit of the art. But I promise those of you who are here to learn more about that, you can ask me questions, obviously, and we'll get to that at the end. But we are going to actually have a special treat for you. In April, next month, April 26th, we are releasing the player's guide for Mechageddon as a free download. And that's actually a full month before we release the actual book. So you can take a look, you can get excited about it, see if it's going to be your thing, and maybe start actually planning your characters, planning your group, and just get like that little preview. And then all through May, we're going to drop some other goodies. Like we've got some encounters planned. Mechageddon starts at level 3. So we've got some encounters to kind of like level you up to that so that you can start the game like ready and knowing what you're going to do. And we're going to have some other goodies too, like an author blog. And then of course, May 22nd is our release date for Mechageddon.
Ooh, just in time for PaizoCon. All right, y'all, don't be afraid to put any extra questions specifically about Mechageddon that you have in the chat. I will be collecting them, so we will have our Q&A at the end, but I do think we have to turn it over to Jon and Jon to talk about Wardens of Wildwood. Thank you for being here with us, Jenny. We will see you at the end.
Gallowspire, my seat of power, and my prison. This is no place for heroes, living or otherwise. You dare step foot within my domain to challenge the power of the Lich King Tar-Baphon? Do you honestly think bringing a companion along will delay your demise? You shall both make fine additions to my legion. Oh, my little pawns, your presence here can only delay my return. You will die here, alone and afraid, consumed by darkness. Your tale shall never be told, as there will be no Gallowspire survivors.
Dwarves are a people of stone, ancient as the mountain's roots where we were born, industrious as the gods who made us, strong as the metal we worked. It all changed millennia ago, when our creator, Torag, shook the earth, calling us upward to a surface we had never known. A harrowing journey we remember as the quest for Sky. A journey that would have failed if not for an unlikely dwarf's leadership, Targek. He was born as the earthquake subsided. He was raised knowing only our sacred ascent. He was dismayed as doubt grew in our people, and he united us in purpose, and we made him our king, a Sky King. For centuries he ruled, building great fortresses, magnificent cities, towering monuments celebrating Torag and his people's accomplishments. And then, without fanfare, he disappeared. But his legend survived. And what dwarf doesn't dream of taking up their ancestors' arms and experiencing adventures of their own? Adventures taking them far below the surface to become foul creatures' next meal. I certainly did. And I was a fool. But what I didn't know was that this was the start of something far greater. This is a story of daredevils braving cities of malice and majesty. A story of seekers grappling with a terrible past. A story of survivors overcoming any danger the Darklands throw at them. A story of heroes discovering the Sky King's tomb.
And we are back. This time we are talking about Wardens of Wildwood with Jon and Jon. Seriously, if the number of Jasons, Johns, and Jameses decided to take over Paizo, we would win because we're like 33% of the company. It's a whole thing. So talking about Wardens of Wildwood today. Jon, so this is going to be the first AP that works on the remastered rule set that we have just started rolling out. Did that have to change anything in the production cycle? If it did, what did it do? Can you give us a little bit of the behind the scenes about that?
Yeah, so the changeover to Pathfinder Remastered and the Orc license was, as a lot of people know, it had to happen really quickly, and that meant that we were assigning this adventure path before we really had locked in a lot of the remastered changes. So we ended up commissioning it in pre-master, or whatever you'd like to call the original second edition, original recipe, all 11 classes and feats, or whatever you call it. And then there's been a lot of adjustment in the course of development of these adventures once we got the manuscripts in and had our finalized rules to make the changes. But at the end of the day, I think we've said this a number of times through our messaging. Remaster is different in some places, but it's really, 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 really similar to Pathfinder Second Edition. So a lot of the changes that I end up making are things like, oh, we've decided not to use this creature going forward. Let's change this encounter. Or we're using the stat block and I need to change the spell list to use the new names of the spells. So it's pretty low key. It's just a lot of different little things that we're always checking for. And so the next time that you meet one of our editors at a show, be sure to thank them, because they're the ones shouldering the biggest brunt of that.
Those poor editors, between blogs and remaster things, they do so much for us. So for those of our fans who are in the chat and maybe have not heard of Wardens of Wildwood, our landing page simply mentions the Wildwood Lodge and Taldor and things and shenanigans. So if you have to give the elevator pitch for what this AP is all about, what are you thinking?
So let me start with the quickest elevator pitch, which would be, your characters are nature characters doing nature things, defending nature. All right, ship it. But let's break it down into some components, because we're throwing out a lot of proper nouns here. So the Verdurn Forest is a big old honking forest, primeval as all heck, that sits between Andoran and Taldor in southeastern Avestan, if you look at our Lost Omens core map. It has plenty of Fae, it has plenty of primal magic, and it has long had this group called the Wildwood Lodge, which is kind of one of the iconic druid groups of our setting. And for about the past 900 years or so, the Wildwood Lodge has had this thing called the Treaty of the Wildwood, which is their treaty with Taldor, and kind of to a lesser extent, there's some splash over into Andoran, saying you can harvest a very sustainable amount of these valuable hardwoods that are within this forest. And in return, you're not going to be super exploitative, and we're not going to murder you with satyrs. And so it has mostly worked out. In the course of this adventure path, you're going to find some ways in which there have been centuries and centuries of grudges, hurt feelings, and bitterness about the Treaty of the Wildwood, and how that's spilling over. In the course of this adventure path, you're going to be playing characters of a wide variety of backgrounds, so long as you are characters who are disposed toward preserving wild places and not burning everything to the ground. So long as that you can match that, then you'll be able to fit in just fine. The burn it all down to the ground faction is already claimed by another group. So what this is going to mean, though, is that when the figurative poo hits the fan, that you'll be in a good place to be stepping up to really help champion the Verdurn Forest, protect it, and possibly even preserve the Treaty of the Wildwood and regional peace in that regard. In the course of that, though, as is common for a lot of the adventures that I work on, there's kind of some room for some morally gray stuff. Like when we talk about a nature AP or a nature adventure, it's kind of common to look back to the old alignment dynamic of like, oh, these are neutral characters, right? And yeah, there's a little bit of room for gray morality. This adventure path is one that has a lot of built-in points where you can say, we want to be the good nature people. And then there are the ones where it's like, we want to stab some colonists right now because that's kind of the way of resolving this issue. It is not an adventure path for like the morally decrepit, but or the morally depraved, but it does allow for some choices.
Heavily loaded word there. I do believe we have some art. I don't know what order you would like to show off this art in, but
let me start off with something like image number 6. So this is one that is showing off some of my favorite times with Harsk. Poor Harsk. He has to put up with a lot from me. So when it comes to that, like, how are you resolving problems with some of the aggressors? And in this case, Harsk and his werebear friend are at odds as to how to resolve this encounter. The werebear says, Smokey the Bear is going to stomp some people. And Harsk is thinking, maybe we should try diplomacy. And everybody else is basically making up their own mind to say, no, thank you. Too many bears. We're out. So these are some of the kind of situations that I'm really excited to see. And this is, I tend to create rather detailed outlines, but I will provide like tons of different options for the authors to play with. That werebear one is one of the few that was absolutely mandated because it all was already coming together in my head. I was like, all right, buddy, this one has to be there. And I think you're going to be delighted with how that extended encounter plays out, or that extended side quest. Speaking of authors, let me just get it out there that we have in this 3-part adventure path, 3 quality authors. Tackling the first adventure, called Pact Breaker, is Andrew White. And then we have Jessica Catalan, who is tackling the second adventure, called Severed at the Root. And finally, we end with Shepherd of Decay by Mike Kimmel. This adventure path is doing several things that are different. One of them is, hey, we're using that orc license. But another is that we're not starting at a typical level. So normally we would start our adventure paths at level 1 or level 11 because it lets us do like a 10 level sweep over 3 volumes. In this case, the story that I wanted to tell was one where starting characters off at first level was going to be just a little too early. And kind of the situations that you're thrown into are ones where you're going to be given a lot of agency and responsibility fairly early on. But not so much for this like region that I wanted us to start at 11 and go all the way to 20. So in fact, this is a level 5 through, I believe it's 13 adventure path. So it's going to be kind of what I consider the sweet spot of player character mechanics, where you have plenty of powers, not all the powers, there's still some limits, but you have a lot of tools in your toolkit. And that's good because you're going to be regional heroes, so to speak.
Awesome. All right. What other art would you like to show off?
Yeah, so we're talking about how this is a nature adventure. One of the dynamics that I put in really early on in the outline is that when we talk about adventures into wilderness locations, oftentimes it's wilderness that is the antagonist. It's, think of it in like terms of Grimm's fairy tales where there are woods, it is death. In this case, okay, well, what if you are the fairies? Okay, suddenly the forest looks very different. So there's kind of a balance that's being struck there, though. A lot of the times you're going to find that nature is your potential ally in what you're accomplishing, but the Verduran Forest is still a place that is full of mystery and excitement. And so I wanted to make sure that we were preserving plenty of points of discovery for your players and PCs as well. So let's go ahead and bring up number 5. This is one where we have Yoon, who is meeting up with one of the key NPCs in the course of this adventure path, a local power broker that you'll learn more about in the second book. And then we can also bring up image number 9. The first adventure path volume has a back matter article that is a gazetteer of the Verduran Forest. And here we have an image of Leni and Yoon approaching the Isle of Erinway. The Isle of Erinway is basically this hyper primal magical island that is the home base of the Wildwood Lodge, and is rarely stepped upon by outsiders. It has some really weird lore that we we picked up from the old Taldor book, which is like there's a local community of leshies that are like super creepy pasta. Like if you were to get an island of haunted porcelain dolls that have been left out in the wilderness for at least 20 years. Like that seems to be the dynamic of the leshies there. So you're like, yay, friendly leshies. Like all the leshies have an exorcist head turn moment. And you're like, oh no, leshies. And so it's a weird island, and it has some very vague assertions that say that Fae just don't trust the place. You're like, oh, well, super primal island. Of course Fae are going to love the place. And even the Fae are like, no, absolutely not. So there are lots of different mysteries that have been existing in the Verduran Forest in our canon so far, and we have answered a few of them in this adventure path, but also introduced plenty others. So yeah, it's that idea of we know nature, we are not scared of nature, but the more that we dig into the Verduran Forest, the more that we uncover supernature, the supernatural of all that. Let's see. Also, as far as art stuff goes, hey, if you're going to be playing in a nature adventure path, you probably want to be playing some nature characters. And when we were planning out this adventure path, I really pitched a couple of books as intended, kind of loose tie-ins or things that people might really enjoy having when they're playing this. The first of them is Rage of Elements, which has been out now for about 8 months. Letting you play all sorts of great elemental characters. You want to bring in a kineticist, go nuts. But also, we've had kind of an upcoming primal book on the horizon as well that has been intrigued. To this day, I don't actually know how much we've said about it. So, but hey, we're really excited to be highlighting that here as well. And so whether you are, playing characters that are kind of like this, or you're encountering them, such as image number 7, and then we can follow that with image number 8. These are some awakened animals that are going to be recurring NPCs in the course of things. Right now, you're seeing Glitterbeak, who leads a coterie of crows, ravens, and other corvids, and is one of the characters that you'll at some point have to win the affection and influence of. And then we have here is Amorga Ulseer, who is an awakened immense tortoise wizard from some of our pre-existing canon, who's going to be your point of contact for a lot of the adventure path. So yeah, of course you're going to have like a 15-foot long awakened tortoise wizard in your back pocket, and you're going to be doing all sorts of stuff for her. She knows plenty of things, but she could really use somebody who can go faster than about 3 miles per hour to go and tackle some of these threats, while she handles some of the things on the home front. So really excited to be exploring some of the player-facing options, though, as far as how can we play some primal nature characters, but also, hey, how can we play some characters that are not druids and barbarians and rangers and whatnot, and still have them fit in really nicely into this adventure path? Again, our adventure paths are built for as wide of an audience, as wide of a selection of characters as possible. Very rarely with us having ones where we say, probably not that type, though. This is not one where I'd suggest playing a skeleton. You probably will not get along with locals.
Awesome. Okay. Are there any sort of now I'm just thinking of you in a giant old forest, and that's sure, there's nothing that goes wrong there at all whatsoever. She doesn't think of anything other than fire.
I mean, you got to consider that fire is a way that some conifers reproduce. So, Yuna is just part of the greater cycle. And I think that finding the ways that your characters and various ideas can fit into this greater umbrella of characters who would get along with nature and are already involved strongly in nature, you can fit a lot under that.
Absolutely.
And even if you don't come to the play with, or don't come to the table with all of the nature options of your own, don't forget, every one of our Adventure Path volumes has a whole bunch of player-facing character options in the back. So treasures that you can find, or if we bring up image number 10, we can even have, creature companions or special mounts that you can hire. So in this case, Yoon is fighting a Sith Nagat Klipoth, and has basically hired on one of the local types of mounts, which looks like a giant squirrel, and you know what? I'm not here to really counter that narrative.
We have such good art. I love our art so much. All right. Are there any other like last minute things you want to bring in, or spoilers, or if you were to sum all of the, I mean, you've been talking for a while. This is all fantastic, and I'm very excited to play this now. I'm gonna have to make sure that I kill off my current group in our current game to bring this in. But if you could just kind of, I'm just adapting a PF1 AP. This is fine. This is much better. If you were going to tie off this section in a big old bow, what would you want to say to get those who might just not be convinced that much to play it?
This is finally an opportunity for you to take the wildernesses that have long been pitted against you by your GMs as a place of danger and uncertainty, and turn them into your new playground that you are going to defend and turn into your own weapons as you tear down some number of colonists, but also resolve an internecine conflict within the greater Druidic organizations, and come out on top and travel to some really weird places.
So we have political intrigue, old world fey magic, and weird, creepy things. I'm sold. I don't know what else other people want. That's like the perfect AP for me.
I mean, what else do people want? We already had Jenny on talking about next, so I think that question answers itself.
Yes, really, this whole episode has just been, we are giving you what you want. You are welcome. We are the magnanimous Paizo. But with that, I think we're going to finish up this section, take a quick break, and then Maryssa and Alex will be back with conventions and events and other fun places for you to interact with us.
we're back. Welcome back. Apologies for the Alex jump scare. We had some technical difficulties called my dog laid on my power cable, unplugged everything, pulled me out of our video, disorganized everything, chaos. Our pets' heads were falling off,
It
raining
was
cats and
madness.
dogs. It was
The-
madness.
The
But we are
the girls broke into my office. It was like a whole thing. I'm so sorry you all missed it. You know, it was really
pets
something.
went wild, animals everywhere. We'll record it for y'all next time for the blooper reel.
Yeah,
All
it
right,
definitely
so
happened.
definitely happened. Coming back with our live and convention events update. I am here with Alex Speidel, our organized play coordinator, just to bring you all an update.
Hello, it's me. I'm just gonna talk to my bestie Maryssa here first because it's a live stream. I don't care. How are you, bestie?
Hey, bestie, what are we doing? Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week.
Happy Friday. It's a short weekend for me because I get to go to my first convention of convention season this weekend. Hooray! Happy convention season to
What
everyone.
is your first convention of convention season this year?
It's the Gamma Trade Show Expo. It's not very exciting, but it's my first time going. So yeah, I get to do business.
That's exciting
things.
for you.
I mean, it's exciting for me. I get to go talk to all of our wonderful retailers who host Pathfinder and Starfinder Society, or who might like to host Pathfinder and Starfinder Society in their stores, and tell them about how they can get involved. So if any of your friendly local game stores are going to be at Gamma, let them know to come to say hi to me.
Business.
I won't have anything. I won't have anything to give them. Yes, business. But yes, anyway, it is convention season. Hooray. Conventions, it's always convention season in my life, but really like March through September is like proper convention season here. We're gearing up for our big events, of course. But before we talk about those, I just wanted to let people know that there are, Gen Con and PaizoCon and all those ones like take up all the air and they get all the attention, but there are tons and tons of local conventions worldwide that have Pathfinder and Starfinder play at them. I just checked. I pulled up my little support spreadsheet here. There are 20 conventions in March alone that have Pathfinder or Starfinder Society at them, and that's like a slow month. So there's tons of local conventions. If you're interested in just like getting out, meeting other members of the community, other Pathfinder players, getting involved in Pathfinder Society, you can actually on our website, let's find out if I can post links in chat, shall we? I can. We have a wonderful convention calendar on our website. If you go to paizo.com/conventions, you can see all of the upcoming conventions that have requested support. I update that calendar every single week so you can see what events are coming up, or you can just Google like nerdy conventions near me. We have lots of folks who go to like, tabletop and game conventions, of course, but like lots of anime shows will have us come out to, lots of like other kind of, nerdy and nerd adjacent events. Even lots of community events have started reaching out to us. I know there's like an event in Marietta, Georgia this weekend. There's just like a street fair and like a hangout that's got a couple of Pathfinder tables. So it's convention season. Go find your people. That's how I got here. So
marvelous. All right. So we have all the stuff going out, and we have all of the major conventions, and we have our local conventions, and we also have our convention, which is PaizoCon Online and PaizoCon at. Is there anything you want to tell the audience about that?
I want to tell them that PaizoCon Online and PaizoCon at are things, and it's kind of weird for you to ask that question because you are the taskmaster in this and really keeping the tight ship running, so I should interview you. But yes, PaizoCon Online is our Paizo Run convention taking place over Memorial Day weekend. That is May 24th through 27th, for those of you who don't live in America and don't know what Memorial Day is. We can't legally say it's the best 4 days in gaming, sorry, but it's 4 wonderful days of gaming. It's mostly online this year, not entirely, but we'll have our PaizoCon keynote where we'll talk about all kinds of upcoming products. We'll have tons of panels throughout the weekend and lots of gaming as well. We're just hammering out the final details on the sort of organized play schedule. That's the word I was looking for. I know my job. So we're getting ready to post like the Pathfinder and Starfinder Society events. But I wanted to let people know as well that we are accepting games this year for our community play program. So if you have a game that you would like to run, it can be Pathfinder or Starfinder. If you've got like a homebrew adventure you want to run, it can be a different tabletop role-playing game entirely. If you want to run like a Blades in the Dark or like a Savage Worlds or like anything like that, we're going to be accepting submissions for that once badges go on sale in just a couple of weeks, and you can get your games on the schedule. We welcome all these other games. We want to really highlight what the community is capable capable of. So if you've got something you've written for Infinite that you want to show off, if you've got all of this kind of stuff, we want to really give people a platform to show off what they're doing. So yeah, PaizoCon Online, you can go to paizocon.com, maybe. Does that go to a place we want them to go to?
I already posted it. Or not
It sure
paizocon.com, but Paizo/community/PaizoCon is in the chat somewhere now for people to link to.
Fun fact, if you go to paizocon.com, it will take you to that landing page. So yeah, we just want the community to come out, enjoy a wonderful weekend of Paizo gaming, hang out with the staff. We'll have the AMA channels open so you can ask us questions to your heart's content within reason. It's going to be a really great event. And if you're still interested in GMing for it, we are accepting GM applications for Pathfinder and Starfinder Society as well. But also new this year, I'm going to keep monologuing. Sorry. Maryssa has to cut me off at some point.
No apologies. I'm just going to let you go until you run out of breath.
Never. We do have our PaizoCon at program this year, so we're going to have some physical PaizoCon events as well. We are going to be partnering with KublaCon in California to run some in-person gaming, as well as I think 8 or 9 friendly local game stores worldwide, because we've got a location in the UK, so I can say worldwide, to run some in-person PaizoCon events as well. So have you dug up the blog link for the PaizoCon at locations yet?
I am working on it. Things are still getting reset up. Thanks to Bandit's interference.
Great. Well, if you go to the PaizoCon landing page that Maryssa put together, it's linked there, so you can see the locations that are there. And we definitely encourage people to come out to their friendly local game stores that are hosting us this year as well, and join in the PaizoCon festivities there. I am going to try desperately to find time to sneak down to our local store, Mock Sporting House in Bellevue, for some of the festivities, but we'll see, because I'm working that weekend. I'm a little busy.
What? We're busy that weekend?
We're a little busy.
It's a Memorial Day weekend. Why are we busy?
You know, someone's got to run the show.
I guess. I suppose.
Yeah. I suppose. But yeah, all of that coming soon. Expect more news on like badges and event signups very, very soon. It's coming up very soon. And I think, I'll speak for myself, I'm super excited. And I hope you are too, Maryssa.
Oh, I am absolutely super excited. As you've been saying, as the Taskmaster, I command the ultimate schedule, and I was deciding, do we post date? No, we're not going to post days. We're let them gonna get hyped up on their own. It'll be a mystery.
Yep, exactly. One day badges will just drop and it'll be like, surprise.
Surprise! All right. Besides PaizoCon, we do have one other major convention, I guess. I guess there's this little thing called Gen Con that comes up in August.
That sure is a show, isn't it? Do you think you're going?
I mean, it's a little show. I think I might be able to like take a weekend out. It's the summer.
Yeah. I might try to put in an appearance. I don't know.
I mean, it's a weekend. Maybe you can take a Friday off or something to get out there.
I'm sorry, that the concept of that as if I don't spend 9 days at Gen Con. Anyway, yes, Gen Con in Indianapolis, big show for everyone. Very, very big show for us. Gen Con is August 1st through the 4th this year in Indianapolis, Indiana. We will have quite the Pathfinder and Starfinder presence there as well. Let me just run down like the bullet point list of all the things that we're doing at that show, and then you can ask about anything you want. Let's see. We'll have a bunch of Paizo staff on hand at the Paizo booth, where you can come and purchase wonderful new products such as Player Core 2. Very exciting that. We will have a huge ballroom full of Pathfinder and Starfinder Society gaming going like 8 a.m. to midnight all 4 days of the show. We will have the launch of Pathfinder Society Year 6, which is our first under the new remaster rules as well. We will be launching the new Pathfinder Society special, which I will not be telling you the title of, but you'll hear it soon. We will be having our second run of the Starfinder Society special that we are launching at PaizoCon, which I forgot to mention, but we'll be running that as well. We'll be running demos of our board games, Goblin Firework Fight and Elemental Stones. Also, we're like gonna launch the playtest for Starfinder 2nd edition.
What? I feel like there should be a Jenny in here for that one.
We can ask her about it during the reaction segment. It's fine. But yeah, we're going to launch that. We're going to give you your first chance to like play the real thing, purchase the playtest rulebook. That's going to be a hot commodity at the show, I'm sure. So yeah, huge show for us. We put on quite the show. There's some stuff we're planning that I haven't even told you about yet because it's still in planning stages, but like we're working on it. It's going to be It's going to be on another level this year. I'm very excited. But yeah, Gen Con, that's all happening. We'll be talking more about that in the coming months, probably after PaizoCon. But if you're interested in joining us, we are still and always accepting GMs as well. We offer GMs who run 3 slots for us a badge into the show, so you don't even have to pay for a badge. Love that for you. And if you run 6 or more games for us, then you also get a print product of your choice from us. So if you would like to, maybe get Player Core 2 or the Starfinder playtest rulebook, simply give me your time for a mere 24 hours, and you too can pay $0 extra for those books. So yeah, all the information is available on the Paizo blog. I definitely should have gotten the links before we started the segment, but I super duper forgot.
You're going to have me wildly look things up while we talk. You're going to have to keep monologuing.
Okay, great. Let's see. Yeah, you can find us in the Sagamore Ballroom at Gen Con. That's where all of our gaming is. And our booth, I don't actually know where our booth is, so I won't tell lies. I assume it's in the same place, but you never know for sure. I'm looking. You've got one? Hooray!
No,
hooray.
no, I'm keep looking.
Oh, keep looking. It was one blog for both of them, so I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, we're always accepting GMs, even if all of our tables are technically full. We will always take people as backups because people always have to drop, something comes up, or they get sick or something, and so they can't come. So we will always take GMs, and especially for the specials, we're going to cram as many players in as possible. Yeah, it's a good time. Gen Con is
I'm gonna have you drop a spoiler because you have spoilers for this, right? Everybody else has spoilers. Why don't you have spoilers?
I have a spoiler that will appease certain people in the community. Is now the time to drop it?
I think now is the time to drop it because
Okay.
I'm scrolling. I'm trying to find which blog are you having me look for specifically? Gen Con volunteers?
It's the same one for Gen Con and PaizoCon.
Oh, it's the same one? Then that's already been in the chat for a while.
Oh, well then never mind. I'm just making you do work. So yeah, I guess my big spoiler is hot news off the presses in my email inbox in the last week, which is that those of you who have been to Gen Con, specifically in the past 2 years in the what I will optimistically call the post-pandemic era, right? The post-2020 era. We've had sort of 2 big old bays of the Sagamore Ballroom that fit about 50 game tables. Well, we are one of the hottest tickets in town, if I do say so myself. And so I'm delighted to announce that this year we have 50% more space than we did in previous years. We have taken over another huge swath of the Sagamore Ballroom, and I will continue to expand my empire as time goes on. But yes, more space, which is going to let us not only run more game tables, but also look at filling that space with some other cool stuff that I won't talk about yet because I haven't sat down with Gen Con to get the layout. But it's going to be super cool. We're going to have a lot more space to spread out and cram in more games. And I'm super excited because it just means that more people get to play the games that we've got for them, which is really the whole goal, right? Just to have fun at the show.
I'm not sure if it was you or Rue who typed this in our notes, but it is Saga More!
That's me.
Exclamation points. I feel like the chat must suffer through this with me. So
yes.
It just
Sorry
says spoilers,
puns,
Saga
sorry.
More!
Yes. So yes, two more bays of the Sagamore, 6 and 7 right there on the end. Very excited. Yeah, so it'll be a really good time. It'll be a really fun show.
This is me telling you to do doing what you told me to and cutting off your monologuing.
Thank you so much.
All right. No, actually, thank you for all of that and for all that info and for the Sagamore. I am actually cutting off this monologuing to give everybody a little quick drink break. Everybody in the chat, go get something to drink, go to the bathroom. We're also going to take, I believe, are we getting one more final break or are we just going straight to the group Q&A?
I don't know. I don't have the outline open. We have one more break.
We have one more break, so I'm going to give everybody a real quick break before you come back and you're stuck with all of us in a single room where we have a Q&A. So everybody in the chat, don't forget to drop any final questions for me and John to collect so we can ask them at the end. Thanks, y'all.
You've made names for yourselves as adventurers over the years, yet now it seems adventure has found you instead. Mysterious and magical tarot cards have appeared among your belongings. Where did they come from? And what of the strange powers they grant? The brass dwarf protects you from fire and other harmful effects. The empty throne overwhelms your foes with hopelessness and despair. The paladin defends you from harm and protects you from peril. And the rabbit prince lets you strike at foes with great accuracy. But be careful his advice doesn't shatter your blade. There are so many more cards out there to be found. They've been scattered across the world, so now the hunt is on. With each card you gather, your power grows. Before long, you'll use this power to travel to places beyond reality itself. Yet still, the question remains, where have these cards come from? Who could have created them? And for what purpose? And what of the fiendish armies and monstrous foes who gather against you and seek the cards for themselves? You race against time, gathering these treasures before they're used against you. Will your quest lead you to legendary realms and grant the destiny you deserve? Or are you merely pawns, unwittingly serving mysterious forces who watch from afar, waiting for the right time to pluck your futures away? In the end, what chance do adventurers have against those who would steal fate itself?
In 316 AG, the Galactic Explorers League, known as the Starfinder Society, lost over 80% of its membership during a mission into the region of space known as the Scoured Stars. Following the mission, a golden barrier encompassed the distant Trinary star system, and contact has been cut off ever since. You and your friends are recently graduated Starfinders, finding yourselves in a galaxy where the Society's future rests in your hands. Or whatever appropriate alien appendages you possess. It's up to you to rebuild the fractured Starfinder Society, make allies at home and in distant regions of space, fend off new and ancient threats alike, and eventually solve the mystery of the Scoured Stars. All in a day's work for a Starfinder. The Scoured Stars is a 260-page hardback epic adventure that takes your Starfinder characters from 1st to 15th level, containing 12 distinct adventures. This science fantasy campaign has the players take center stage as a new generation of Starfinder, working to uncover the secrets of the region of space known as the Scoured Stars. Along the way, you'll travel across the cosmos in your starship, make first contact with alien species, encounter emerging galactic threats, explore ancient ruins, and build a coalition of powerful allies to tackle whatever the Scoured Stars has to throw at you.
And we are all of us confined in a very tiny Zoom window. So we're all going to get real comfy and start asking Q&A questions or answering Q&A questions from the chat.
I think we should just ask them and not give answers. I think that's way funnier.
Okay, so I'm going to go first because Maryssa was just talking, and this does not preclude Alex jumping into the document and answering and asking questions also, because we can only contain him so much. So I'm going to go for one of the easy ones. Jenny, what do you want to tell us about the SF2 playtest that you can tell us that might possibly be coming out at this tiny little indie convention called Gen Con later this year?
Yeah, so Starfinder 2 playtest will launch at Gen Con this year. So Indianapolis in August. If you are there, you can get your hands on one of the physical books. We do have physical books that will be for sale. However, we have the rules that will be online. That will be a free PDF download. And our friends over at Archives of Nethys are going to have like a free PRD online so that you can like just use that as a reference. But a lot of people want to have a reference book and want to have that piece of history. Like I still have my Pathfinder 2 playtest like book over on the shelf. Like I mean, so some people want to for sure. Honestly, we love the support and we love to be able to give that to y'all, but we totally understand. That's why we are giving those out for free as well. As for, there were some specific questions. Other than what we've announced, we've got 3 field tests and some blogs that give a little more insight. Those are also free on Paizo.com or StarfinderPlaytest.com. There are certain things I don't really want to get into, but I will say that we're really trying to take our time with things like Starship Combat and make sure that we get it right. So, you know, the play test isn't necessarily going to be a the full game, although it will certainly function as a full game. We have plans for future things as well. So if you're curious about what some of the snapshots we've already shown are, please go check out those field tests if you haven't already. We have another one coming March 14th, actually. That'll be our 4th field test.
Marvelous. Thank you. I've been trying to decide if I just want to go down the list in the order of things. Like we have the Mechageddon section and the Wildwood section and then the convention section, or if I should just like pick something randomly off this list.
Do chaos.
Do chaos.
Roll a die.
Choosing chaos. All right. So
they're never going to invite me back on this show.
Both of us, Alex, they're like, no, we can't have them together in a room anymore. All right. So though, actually, I'm going to throw you under the bus, Alex. Somebody asked you quite a few questions, but you said you could answer some of. So the first couple of these questions are, if you had to pitch it to a type of game group, where would you pitch elemental stones? And is there any plans for expansions on elemental stones? Which unfortunately you and I are not the devs, so I can't answer those, but I could keep those in my hat for when we talk to the devs next.
Yes.
But I will answer some or ask you some that I think you can answer. Like, what is your best elevator pitch for elemental stones? And will you play this community member at Gen Con?
Oh, well, if this specific community member wants to play me at Gen Con, absolutely. Just roll up to the Sagamore Ballroom and challenge me to a duel Yu-Gi-Oh style. I think the best elevator pitch is just like really simple sentences. It's play tiles, make pretty colors, get points. Like, it's the thing I like about Elemental Stones is that it's a really simple game that honestly like takes more time to explain the rules than it does to like play a round or two, because like there's a lot of things you explain at the start, and then once you've done that, it's like, oh, okay, this is just how it works. You're just putting nice tiles on a board and making pretty patterns. Like, as far as what gaming group is gonna like it, any gaming group that is just like ready for just like a quick like 20-minute game, or just like needs a breather between your like 4-hour long games of Expeditions and Scythe, like this is a really good breather. It's fast, it's chill, it's competitive, it's a game, but it's not like super cutthroat where you're going to be mean and nasty to your friends. So I like it. I think it's a great family game. Definitely recommend people try it out before their next Pathfinder session, or before their first session of Mechageddon, maybe. See? Tie-ins.
Tie-ins.
Marketing John likes you. All right, continuing with chaos. I will just talk to John Compton again. Are there any player options coming up in Wardens that you are particularly excited about?
Yeah, we have some pretty solid ones. So one of the ones that springs to mind is that we have an archetype that comes out in the back of the first book called the Verduran Shadow, which is very much kind of the like, it's basically, do you want to play a jaguar? So do you want to be 20 feet up on a branch and dive down upon your enemies and watch them go splat?
Yes.
Then absolutely. So again, we're kind of playing into the idea of, all right, again, nature is your tool this time. So there are a lot of things for turning woodlands into weapons and having fun with that. And it gets cranked up even more once you get to the third volume, which goes to place we haven't acknowledged yet, which would be fun to explore.
Jeepers, everything I'm hearing is this is dang nature, you scary, the adventure path. All right, I am going to buck back up. So, Jenny, for Mechageddon and General Starfinder
Yeah.
question, will there be a narrative combat rules for mech combat similar to Starship combat in the update in Starfinder Enhanced?
Gods,
Oh,
I wish. I mean, sadly, no, there's not in Mechageddon. Also, Maryssa, were you gonna keep talking? I'm sorry, did I cut you
Nope.
off?
Oh,
there
I was just
more?
gonna be like, did I phrase that in a way that made sense? Because I just kind of ran on my sentence.
No, you totally did. Oh God, there's like so many things I wish that we could have put in that book. So Mechageddon, first and foremost, is an adventure path. It has 3 parts, like a lot of Starfinder adventure paths, but it's all in one book. It also has some back matter. It's got some like articles to get you into the setting of this particular AP. There's some new mechs, a couple of new mech rules, but overall, first and foremost, it is about the narrative and giving you as a GM and a player group tools to tell that story, to make it your own, to run as written or add even more or just kind of customize it. So there's a lot more mech stuff that I think we could do. And I hope to see more of that coming out in Starfinder Infinite. And certainly one day down the road, one wonderful day when we get to mechs in Starfinder 2, we will probably go that route as well. I think that's something that I'm definitely going to put in my notes of like, that would be something good to have. But for Mechageddon, no, there's not a system introduced. However, with mechs being able to seamlessly transform and you being able to have starships that scale up that match your mechs, like a starship form for your mech, you could certainly extrapolate that into mech narrative combat rules if you wanted to. I hope that answers the question.
Oh, yeah. We will leave it up to the chat who asked the question. So hopefully they're still around and they got what they wanted from that answer.
Okay. Continuing
Yes,
on
they
my
did.
Yay.
continuing on the chaos roll down the document, diverting from the specific topics of today, I hate to break it to the panelists here, but we're killing a god. I don't know if you were aware of that. I know.
What?
Shock, horror, awe, whatever.
That is brand new information.
I know. I definitely have not been programming blog posts to go live at certain times just to screw with the subreddit in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So, again, for this small indie convention in August, will there be any War of Immortals things that are happening on the Pathfinder side at Gen Con? Would we want to have a major meta event happen at one of the major conventions of the year, or is that something we're not interested in?
Let me dance around some answers to that question and be cryptic for a minute.
Spoilers.
No, I can actually answer this. For those interested in the fallout of what happens when gods die, I think you'll find the upcoming season of Pathfinder Society very interesting. And that's all I'll say about that, actually. You should definitely play the new scenarios at Gen Con. You should definitely play the year intro. You should definitely play 602, which I won't say any more about. You should play those at Gen Con. It'll be very interesting.
Interesting. Spoilers.
Also, the god who dies is, oh no, I have to go right now.
All right. I think our next question is going to be for John Compton. What archetype should I take in Wardens of Wildwood? Question mark from our friendly local Alex.
What archetype? So in addition to that Verduran Shadow one that I mentioned, gosh, what wouldn't work? I'll just say let's go with Wrestler. Or
that's not what I
would be another fun one. If you're going to be a nature character, you might as well grab a creature companion and have a wild time. You could also, if you're looking for other ways of getting friends, you could go with like the Summoner multi-class archetype. Primal yourself up a buddy. But yeah, I mean there are very few archetypes that are going to be bad fits. It's just if you're going to use one that's going to be like super urban intriguey type, then you're probably not going to have as many opportunities to make use of it. But any of the ones that reference survival, nature, punching, getting punched, any of the above, I think you're going to do fine.
Nice. Thank you. And thank you, Alex. I hope that answered your question. You're making your wrestler.
That wasn't the answer I expected, but that's very exciting.
We're going to hold you to it. We're calling your bluff now.
Right.
Peer pressure. Okay, so this is more of a generalized question. With the remaster stuff moving forward, we have one chatter who's curious to know what no alignment looks like in an adventure path. So do the stat blocks, stat blocks used to have obviously their alignment contained within that stat block. Do they now just have their edicts and anathema, or what does that look like?
In a post-alignment landscape, really there's not a whole lot that's different in how we present our adventures. There's still kind of an understanding of, what our overall assumption is as far as the PC's moral compass goes. But yeah, you just won't see, lawful evil or chaotic good or what have you show up. So if you want to play a little bit more morally gray or morally ambiguous, you totally can, because there's less of the detect XYZ alignment sort of thing, or there's less saying, you can't do that because it says the following two letters on your character sheet. So there's a little bit more flexibility that builds in. That doesn't really change how I approach adventure design, but it's one more little thing for you to keep in mind as you're preparing for these adventures. And when it comes to presenting the player's guides, we're providing a little bit of, like, again, moral compass guidance, but it's your game. Have fun.
Almost like it's rule number 1.
All right. In my notes here, I just have Starfinder 2E conversion. I have something to say about this. I think Jenny got into my notes.
No, it's me.
Yeah. So, okay. So somebody asked if there was going to be a Starfinder 2 conversion of Mechageddon, and I've heard several people around the infosphere who have that question as well. So the sad answer is, currently no, we don't have any plans to convert any Starfinder 1 adventures to Starfinder 2. However, I don't know if Mechageddon were to just like sell out and every book was purchased. I mean, maybe it would be something that I could push for with leadership and say, hey, can we do one of these good old conversions? Or maybe it's something that devs and people involved in might release on good old Infinite. So I guess the answer is, it's always a possibility one day. If Mechageddon turns out to be something that people love and that love turns into book selling, there's possibilities for more support for it. But for now, it's going to be a Starfinder 1 adventure. And it's a really good one. I'm biased, but we're going to be deep diving more into it at PaizoCon. So if you really want to know more about that, just check out that schedule when it releases and come hear me geek out about that more when the time comes.
One of the most enjoyable things to have happen in a meeting is when Eric Mona, our chief creative officer, will say, I didn't think that it would sell this well, but now it's all sold out. So change of plans. Also, you were right. I was wrong. Let's go make money. Jenny,
capitalism.
YZ. Or Jenny, would you like to include more robots? Or okay, fine. I'll sign off on Magical Girl Finder or whatever.
I'll sign off on Mechageddon 2, Magical Girl Transformation, whatever. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would be severely concerned if our mech person on staff was like, no, you don't bother. This is not the AP for you.
Bold to claim there's only one mech person on staff.
True.
Okay,
Jenny is just the one that called dibs. So
True.
we have to honor the right of dibs at Paizo. She invoked it, so we have to leave it to her. In Jenny, we trust.
Sure.
Anyone who can quote Min May in the work chats and we get it is that's a thing. Okay, so let's grab a couple of more questions here. John, I don't know what your because I'm on the ops side and you're on the creative side, there's that invisible wall that they don't let us cross. I just stare at you and wave. Are there any fun tidbits about Monster Core that you might want to drop? I don't know what your involvement with Monster Core was, but it is coming out soon, so people want to know things.
I did not work terribly much on Monster Core. I have used Monster Core a lot over the past 6 months, but the one thing I can really say about it is that you're going to see a whole lot of familiar things. You're going to see some things with different names or different artwork as we kind of re-examine what our visual and verbal styles are for some of these things. But what has surprised me a lot is that if you do a side-by-side comparison of Monster Core to the first bestiary, you're going to find some things in Monster Core that you've never seen before. So even if you are planning to, make use of your existing bestiary collection and kind of do a little bit of remaster conversion on the fly, you'll still get new content out of Monster Core. So give it a shot.
Marketing
Awesome.
likes this message.
Marketing approves this message. Chunk quota checked off. I'm gonna follow up with some more chaos. Hey Alex, what's that pin on your shirt?
Oh, my Lotus Leshy. This is a Lotus. I'm trying to get close to the camera. This is a Lotus Leshy from one of our partners, Savage Sparrow's Live Laugh Leshy Kickstarter. I just got them in like a week or two ago, and so here she is in all her iridescent glory. I love her.
We love her. She is glorious. I am now trying to see if it is on her website. In
I know
my
some of them
itty
are.
bitty
I don't know if the
tab.
Lotus one is.
Please be on the website.
They are also like huge pins. Like this is so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's good, don't get me wrong, but like, will this fit on a convention lanyard? I'm not sure.
You can make it fit. All you need is belief to make it fit.
I mean, my convention lanyard is back there with many pins on it, so
All right. I think we're getting close to the end. We've been holding our creative team members hostage for the last hour and a half. So we have to like hold them hostage for half an hour before we convince them to get onto the live stream. And so now we've had them for the last hour. I think we're getting to the end of our time with our hostages. Jon, do you have any last final questions you want to ask them?
No. I want to thank both of them for coming on. I legitimately, with the chat, was learning things about Wardens of Wildwood. So now, like I said, I gotta go play my home game this weekend and kill off the adventuring party so I can start a new AP. That's not cruel or unusual in any way, shape, or form.
Keep in mind that it doesn't come out for another 7 weeks. So you can wait.
Okay.
You have a little time.
Death.
Have a little time. You can kill them off one at a time, depending on how many players you have in your campaign. All right. I think that's where we are gonna cut it off with our questions. I hope you've enjoyed this month's Jon, I'm just taking this. I'm following the script and I'm going. I hope that everybody here has enjoyed this month's Paizo Live. Until then, you can get all of your Paizo updates by joining our newsletter. I'm a copy pasta the sign up, or at least the website, into the chat where you can scroll down and there will be a newsletter sign up on the website. I've been one of your hosts. I'm Maryssa. That's Jon. You can find my socials all over the place at Maryssa Marie. Where can you find all of your socials, Jon?
I'm at jmorgantini on X/Twitter, or Loremaster Jon if you're feeling fancy on Blue Sky.
Very fabulous. Under me in our Zoom chat and also in the Twitch chat is the other Jon. Where can we find you if you'd like to share?
You can find me on X, Twitter, etc. At Archaeotag, ARCHAEOTAGH. I also hang out in the Galarian lore part of the Pathfinder RPG Discord server.
Marvelous. And we're just going to slide right over to where can we find you, Jenny?
Hey, so you can find me on social media at Space Princess J. I also hang out a lot on the Starfinder Discord and various other Discords. You can find me around there. And I saw it earlier in chat, someone asking about getting like Starfinder 2 playtest books signed. I'm just going to say, if you go to Gen Con and come up, which I will be at Gen Con, but if you go up to any of the Paizo people at Gen Con and ask them to sign your book, you will make their day and you will get an autograph. So please do not be strangers at any convention that any of us are at to ask us that question. We love it. Thank
So
you.
what I'm hearing is we need to find an unsuspecting staff member who's not also in this chat watching, and create a lineup and
ambush.
surprise
Yes.
them and just
Yes.
flash mob, please sign my book.
Do it.
All right, and we are going to close out with last but not certainly not least, and my bestie, Alex. Where can we find you?
Hi, bestie. You can find me
Hey.
at Alex Speidel on Blue Sky, and that's basically the only social media that I use. I'm on a bunch of the Discords, but under my alt account so that I can post things without being a Paizo staffer. So good luck finding me. You can also find me at Gen Con. People ask me to sign their books, which is weird because I don't work on them. I'll also be at Origins in Columbus. So, if you're going to be at that as well, feel free to come say hi to me there. But thank you so much. It was wonderful to be on Paizo Live for the very first time ever.
I know. How was that? How was your very first time being on camera ever felt?
It went okay.
It went okay. It was A-okay.
It went
All
okay.
right. And we're going to thank all of y'all for joining us and all of you for putting all of your questions in the chat and interacting with everybody today. We're looking forward to seeing you next time, usually the first Friday of the month. See y'all next time, Pathfinders and Starfinders. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.